Hello. Hi, I'm Gok Hua here. Today, I'm here to talk about diabetes. All right. You might be thinking, where on earth did I get all this information from? Actually, it's from this quarterly PDF publication available only to members. And this publication has articles written by doctors and scientists. So, since it's such an important topic about diabetes, something that we all have heard of, and we may have our close ones being affected by diabetes as well. So I thought might as well share some information that I came across from this very prestigious magazine. It's an online magazine, quarterly magazine written by a team of doctors and scientists on the latest research about certain illnesses, about life as well. So it's a very positively charged magazine that gives you all the good vibes. So today I'm just here to share about diabetes. Right, before I move on to diabetes, there's this statistics of diabetic patients in Singapore. It says here that 1 in 11 Singaporeans aged 18 to 74 are affected by diabetes, right? And with the proportion of men higher than women. Okay, so basically, diabetes is affecting a lot of people out there, 1 in 11 Singaporeans. And by 2050 is projected to hit about 1 million cases in Singapore. And that's a very that's a significant number. So why don't we just take some time to understand about diabetes today? Okay, so diabetes, as we all know, is about how our body deals with glucose. Okay, so this is some intriguing statistics about diabetes. Diabetes affect millions globally, and by examining these statistics, we can get a clearer picture of its impact and importance of awareness and management. So it is a very much growing global burden affecting individuals, families, and entire countries. According to estimates in 2021, 10.5% of adults aged 20 to 79 have diabetes, and nearly half unaware that they have the condition. So this is very shocking. Am I right? Nearly half of them are unaware that they have the condition. So this is a very much significant hidden problem. And projections indicate that by 2045, 1 in 8 adults, or approximately 783 million people, will be living with diabetes. This is a 46% increase. Around 90% of all diabetes is type 2 diabetes, which is driven by factors such as urbanization and aging population, decreased physical activity, and rising rates of overweight and obesity. So let's spend a little more time understanding what diabetes is. So diabetes is a chronic medical condition that affects how our body turns food into energy. It involves issues with a hormone called insulin, which helps regular blood sugar level. There are two main types, type 1 and type 2 diabetes, whereby the body does not produce insulin. And type 2 diabetes, whereby the body does not use insulin properly. So type 1 is the body does not produce insulin at all, and type 2 involves the body does not use insulin properly. And both types can lead to serious health complications if not managed properly. All right. So what is type 1 diabetes? Type 1 diabetes actually is the result of an autoimmune reaction. It usually rears its head in childhood, whereas in type 2 diabetes, the most common form is primarily linked to lifestyle factors and genetics. It is usually diagnosed in adulthood. Okay, it develops when the body becomes resistant to insulin or when the pancreas cannot produce enough insulin to maintain normal blood sugar levels. Right. So key contributions to type 2 diabetes include being overweight, physical inactivity, and poor diet. So there's this myth here that we would like to debunk, or rather the team of doctors and scientists are trying to debunk, is that most people think that sugar causes diabetes. Actually, it does not. One of the biggest misconceptions people have about diabetes is blaming on sugar. This is primarily the reason why the Chinese call it 糖尿病. Okay, sugar urine disease, or rather, maybe it's caused by the Chinese translation of diabetes, sugar urine disease. So there's a lot of emphasis on the role of sugar in diabetes, which can cause many people to incorrectly believe that eating lots of sugar can cause diabetes. Don't get me wrong, eating a huge amount of sugar do lead to health issues, but diabetes may not be caused by just eating primarily a lot of sugar. Okay, high blood sugar levels are also not a cause of diabetes, but rather a consequence. In fact, sugar is good. All right, the human body needs sugar in the form of glucose to survive. Sugar works as the fuel for cells in the body to perform their necessary functions and fuel the growth of new cells. So without their fuel, the cells would starve to death. So sugar is still important to us. But of course, anything that we take in excess may cause harm. So what actually causes diabetes? Okay, let's look at how diabetes damages the body. Okay, think of your body like a finely tuned machine with intricate systems working together. One crucial component of this system is glucose, a type of sugar, which acts as fuels for your cells, providing energy for your body to function well. When you have diabetes, there is a disruption in how your body handles glucose. As a result, glucose builds up in your bloodstream instead of entering your cells, leading to excess glucose, which can wreak havoc on various organs and tissues over time. Okay, so this is how diabetes damage our body. So look at the complications of diabetes: weakened immune system, damaged blood vessels, heart disease, and eventually may even lead to kidney disease, amputations, and infections. So I actually, before coming into this live, I actually did a Google search of diabetic conditions in Singapore. I actually read some of the articles, and there were patients as young as 24. There was one man who was 31, I think, and he was totally unaware until serious complications arose due to kidney failure. And that's why many have said that diabetes can be a hidden condition until serious complications happen. So that's why it's important to actually keep your options, like health options, health checks regular. Okay, keep your health checks regular, and of course maintain a healthy lifestyle as well. So these are the complications that arises as a result of diabetes. All right, so this is how diabetes disrupt the body or damages the body. Okay, let's look at something about what we need to clarify here. The GI index is a valuable tool for understanding how various foods affect blood sugar levels. The GI measures how quickly foods raise blood sugar levels compared to pure glucose, which has a GI of 100. Foods with a high GI cause rapid spikes in blood sugar, while those with a low GI result in slower, more gradual increases. Since diabetics have difficulty lowering and controlling their blood sugar, repeated spikes in blood sugar over time can cause complications such as heart or kidney problems. So an important point to note about the GI index is that it's lack of correlation. It's the lack of correlation with the sweetness of the food. Okay, a low GI does not mean that the food is low in sugar. A high GI does not mean that the food is high in sugar. So very often we have heard people saying that the food is very sweet and therefore must be unhealthy. Actually, it might not be true. So the food that's sweet may have low GI and that's why it does not spike your glucose level as that much as compared to food that is high in GI. Okay, so the digestive system turns food into sugar as a fuel in the body. The GI is simply a reflection of how fast this process occurs. Or some food not known for sweetness can have a high GI. Others with a sweet taste may have a low GI. This disparity means that food's sweetness, okay, does not necessarily indicate its impact on blood sugar level. So let's look at this table here. Okay, let's look at this. Okay, look at this. Banana, GI index is 48. Apple, 36. Orange, 36 or 35. Apricot, 34. Acerola cherry, 20. Okay, so it's not true that the sweeter the fruit is, the higher the GI index, or the higher or the sweeter the fruit is, the higher the GI index is definitely not true. Okay, and look at this, boiled potato 78. So if you are eating a potato almost on a daily basis, be aware of the GI index. All right, and white bread 75, whole wheat bread 74, white rice 73. So basically, under this category of non-sweet food, under this category of non-sweet food, the GI index is pretty high. So if you are a potato lover, do take note of the amount that you are taking in. The GI index is 78, white bread is 75, which is very high, all right? So do take note of the GI index of these food items presented here. So once again, let me reiterate, it doesn't mean that the sweeter the food it is, the higher the GI index. So it's definitely not true, okay? Okay, let's look at this. So for instance, white rice lacks, what does white rice lack? Okay, white rice lacks sweetness and sugar content, yet it breaks down into sugar during digestion, boasting a high GI of about 73. Conversely, despite sweetness, an apple has a GI of about 36, indicating a slower increase in blood sugar compared to white rice. So a GI index, as I mentioned earlier on, actually measures how fast it increases in blood sugar level after you have consumed the food. So white rice as compared to apple, white rice has a very high GI index of 73. And that means that when you consume white rice, it raises the blood sugar level in the body at a much faster rate, all right, as compared to apple. And high GI index foods are not inherently unhealthy. Carbohydrates, which often have high GIs, are an essential part of a healthy diet and include vegetables, grains, and fruits. So it is impossible to avoid sugar entirely. So if there's someone or your friend who tells us that we should totally avoid sugar, actually, firstly, not possible, and secondly, sugar is essential for cells also, our body cells. So it's not possible to avoid sugar at all right? So sugar is crucial for your cell survival and overall function. In particular, the brain, despite making only 2% of the body weight, uses about 20% of the body's oxygen and relies heavily on sugar to function properly. So if you're not consuming enough sugar, your brain might not be functioning that well. So bear in mind that please do not, how do I put it? In Chinese, we call it 妖魔化. So in English, I shall translate it to demonize sugar. Okay, sugar is not entirely bad because sugar is essential for your self-survival and overall function. And our brain function depend on sugar as well. Therefore, it is important to recognize the role of sugar in providing necessary energy for your body, especially for vital organs like the brain. So different sugars can have varying effects on the GI index, highlighting their diverse metabolic pathways. So notably, glucose with a GI of 100 elicits a rapid increase in blood sugar level. So imagine taking glucose, it will spike the blood sugar level rapidly. In contrast, fructose, also known as fruit sugar, has a much lower GI of only 23. So if let's say there's someone out there who tells us to skip fruits because of the fructose, or they pronounce it fructose, actually fructose is actually not harmful to our body at all because it has a low GI of only 23. So despite its sweetness, fructose metabolizes slowly as it requires additional processing by the liver before being utilized as energy by cells. This differs from glucose. Okay, so please remember, fructose from fruits differs from glucose. So glucose is readily absorbed by cells without further processing. It is important to distinguish fructose from high fructose corn syrup, which is a blend of fructose and glucose. So if you come across high fructose corn syrup, please remember it does not only contain fructose, it also contains glucose. And HFCS can have a high GI due to its glucose content. So glucose, the GI index is 100, which spikes our blood sugar level rapidly upon consuming glucose. But if you consume fruits, for goodness sake, it's not unhealthy. Fruits, in fact, has one of the best nutrients for our immune system. So if we are misled into thinking that fruits, because of its sweetness, is unhealthy, it spikes blood sugar level, is not true. Okay, it only has a GI index of about 23. Okay, so by all means, consume your fair amount of fruits on a daily basis. All right. So the next thing about how do we maintain our blood sugar level is about fiber. Okay, in addition to the GI index, several other factors influence how foods affect blood sugar level. One crucial factor is the fiber content of foods. High fiber foods such as fruits, vegetables, and whole grains tend to raise blood sugar levels more slowly than low fiber counterparts. So if you're concerned about raising blood sugar level, please consume sufficient fiber daily and consume food that's high in fiber content. So this is because fiber slows down the digestion and absorption of carbohydrates, leading to a more gradual release of glucose into the bloodstream. So allow me to repeat, it slows down the digestion and absorption of carbo, leading to a more gradual release of glucose into the bloodstream. This means that adding fiber to a favorite food with a high GI index such as white rice or bread can help slow down the rise in blood sugar, allowing for less guilt when eating. So this is a secret. This is a secret out of the bag. Okay, so when you are eating white bread and you're guilty about it, at the same time, before eating the white bread, consume an item that is high in fiber. Okay, so for example, banana. Banana is high in fiber. Okay, psyllium husk is very high in fiber. Okay, psyllium husk it's not easy to locate it in the market, but it has the highest amount of one of the highest amount of fiber out there among the plant food. So consume enough fiber before you consume the food that causes guilt in you, like white bread, rice, and things like that. Okay, so let's look at this table here. This table here shows the food items that are very high in fiber, and in terms of GI index as well. Brown rice, very high in fiber and contains and the GI index is 50. Banana, high in fiber, the GI index is 48. Barley groats, the GI index is 25. Buckwheat noodles, whole wheat pasta, so, wholemeal flour, etc., etc., etc. So these are the food that's sorry. So these are the okay. There's a technical issue here. Let me shrink the size of my screen. Oops. This is the thing about technology. Okay, this is food items that are low in fiber, as mentioned earlier on. White rice, not that healthy and has very high GI index. White rice contains very minimal, not the fiber amount is not high at all. Watermelon, low in fiber, the GI index is 75. Wow, that's very high. Cornflakes, 85. So I get concerned when kids take cornflakes every morning, or adults tell me that, my daily breakfast, it comprises of cornflake. Okay, for close friends, I usually advise them not to take cornflakes that often because of the high GI index. All right, look at this. It's 85, Rice noodles, 65. Pasta, 50. Wheat flour, 85. So bear in mind certain things that are made of wheat flour and do not consume them in excess amount or on a daily basis because the GI index is very, very, very high. All right, okay. So let's move on. Okay, and GI index is not everything. So bear in mind that GI index is not everything. Beyond the GI index, other factors play a role in determining the overall healthfulness of foods. For instance, red meat boasts a virtually zero GI, but does it mean that red meat is very, very, very healthy and we are encouraged to consume?